So with the release date for Assassin's Creed Shadows just around the corner here on November 15th, I wanted to do a buyer's guide covering every single edition that's available for sale of the game and go over a few things that I think everybody considering buying this game should be aware of. Just to let you know, I'm not just going to be reading off of the website what every single one of these editions comes with, because I feel like anybody can do that. I'm going to actually explain to you what each of these things actually means based on my research, and explain to you what it adds and how it impacts your game. Also, I feel like I gotta say this, please be aware I'm not going to be discussing or covering any of the controversy surrounding this game. I have my own opinions on that, but this is not the video for it. This is just a buyer's guide covering the direct contents of the game. So before we get into any gameplay specifics and things that I think you should know before you buy this game, let's go ahead and cover the different versions of the game. Just a heads up, all of these will be quoted in US prices. So first up, we got the standard edition. It's going to run you $70. It comes with the base game, and if you pre-order it, you get the pre-order bonus. All editions of the game, if pre-ordered, will come with this pre-order bonus. And that bonus is an additional mission. It is called Thrown to the Dogs. We don't know much about this mission so far. We don't know how important it is or how much content really is there, but it's likely just a little side quest. Up next, we got the gold edition, which is going to run you $110. The difference between this version and the standard is that you're going to get the season pass. So the season pass comes with the 2 upcoming expansions for the game, but also important to note, it also comes with an additional mission. There was a little bit of confusion when this was announced. A lot of people thought that the season pass was referencing the mission that you get from the pre-order bonus, and it is not. It is another mission that is locked behind another stipulation. So yes, they are locking another mission that is available on day 1 behind the season pass wall. Much like the pre-order bonus, we don't know the importance of this mission or the length of content that's there. What we do know is that it's some sort of infiltration mission. The other thing that you're getting with the gold edition is the 3-day early access to this game. All editions of this game, with exception of the standard edition, come with a 3-day early access. And then we move on to the ultimate edition. For an extra $20, making it $130, the only difference between this one and the gold is that you're getting access to what they're calling the ultimate pack. So the ultimate pack is what you get for the additional $20 to upgrade it from gold, and it's mostly cosmetics. I'm going to be displaying those here on the screen just so you can see what they look like, and honestly, they don't look half bad. I'll just briefly here read to you the description of the contents. The Sekiryu character pack including gear and weapon sets for both Naoe and Yasuke. The Sekiryu beast and the dragon tooth trinket. The Sekiryu hideout pack including 4 unique ornaments to customize the hideout for your shinobi league. You get 5 skill points, which is a little time saver, and the red dragon filter for the photo mode of the game. From what I've read, what this is, it's a filter for people who like to do virtual photography inside of the game. And then finally, we have the collector's edition, which is going to run you $280. The collector's edition comes with everything that the ultimate edition comes with and some additional chotskis, for lack of a better word. I will also display them here on the video so you can see what everything looks like. You will be getting a miniature statue of both the protagonists, a unique steelbook case, a collector's art book with 84 pages, a life-size Naoe's katana tsuba. If you don't know what a tsuba is, it's the handguard for a katana, so the little circular handguard that goes on the sword. It would have been really cool if they would have gifted you an actual sword, but I guess that for legal purposes and optics, maybe that wouldn't be the best idea, so this is the next best thing. I still think it would have been cooler if it was a sword, but it's not. You get the world map, you get the Creed wall scroll, and 2 Sumai-e lithographs, whatever the hell a lithograph is. Let's look up what a lithograph is. According to Google, a lithograph is a print made using a planographic print-making process that involves drawing on a flat stone or metal plate and then printing it onto paper. So in essence, it's a very hipster way of saying you get 2 little drawings. And that is what you get with the collector's edition. And then finally, the last edition, which is not really an edition, but crucial to mention because I feel like the vast majority of people are going to be doing this. So through the day 1 with Ubisoft Plus for $18 a month, you get access to the ultimate edition of the game with all the ultimate bonuses that come with that. So it's going to come with the base game, the pre-order bonus, the season pass, the 3 days early access, and even the ultimate pack. On top of all that, you get access to Ubisoft's catalog of 100 plus PC games. So if you're a little bit iffy on this service or you don't know how it works, I can tell you from personal experience, I have used this service. I've signed up for this subscription in the past to be able to play Assassin's Creed Mirage. I wasn't entirely decided if I wanted to buy the game or not, so I did use this and it worked just fine. And it's one of those things, right, where you might want to play the game, but you don't think you'll ever play it again once you play through the whole thing once. It might be a good option for you. It might be a good option if you just want to test the thing out before you decide to actually buy it. You get access to all that. So all that fear of missing out on those additional missions, problem solved right there without having to actually drop $130. You get access to the same stuff. So I'm just going to come out and say it, I'm really not a fan of this monetization practice here that they have going on. I normally don't have a problem with pre-order bonuses when it's something that's cosmetic in nature, or it's something that you can later unlock in the game. What I really don't like about this is that it's locking you out of missions from day one, so if you don't get the pre-order bonus, you're actually missing out on content that you can't later get. Now, like many games do, I would assume that this might be available as a microtransaction later on. If you don't want to miss out on this mission, but you didn't pre-order it, I would assume you might be able to buy it down the line, but who knows. And then the second thing here that I really don't like is the season pass bonus. Like, I don't mind there being a season pass. I understand, versus buying the DLC, you get the season pass, which makes the DLC a little bit cheaper, but commits your purchase a little bit earlier. The problem that I have with this is the same problem I have with the pre-order bonus, the fact that it's locking you out of day one content. And then I'll just let you know, as far as the Ultimate Edition, you're just paying an extra $20 for the Ultimate Pack. I don't feel like the cosmetics are worth an extra $20. Although the cosmetics do look nice, I'll give them that. I don't think they're worth the extra $20 in my opinion. And it comes with a time saver, the additional 5 skill points that I really don't like. I've said this before, I've bought editions of games that came with time savers or came with overpowered weapons that just completely destroy the game and ruin the progression. I really think that unless you're absolutely hyped about this game and you think you're going to replay it multiple times, the Ubisoft Plus is the way to go. And then I might say, or a lot of people might say, that if you don't buy the game, you don't own it, right? So if you want to play it down the line in 5 years, 10 years, if it becomes a classic, you can't play it anymore. But it just so happens that Ubisoft is the pioneer on revoking your ownership of their game. So even in the spirit of that question, when you buy a game from Ubisoft, do you truly own it? So even if you go the Plus route now, and several years later it does become a classic and you want to revisit it, you will likely be able to pick up the game for a significant discount. So even in that case, you're not really missing anything. Alright, so now that we've covered that, I'm going to move on to gameplay and features that I think everybody should be aware of before buying the game. So I'm not going to be covering every single specific detail about this game because I feel like the vast majority of people already know what this game is by now. I'm going to cover things that I think that you might not know, things that are unique to this game that might be a little bit different from other AC games that you might have played in the past. So the one mostly obvious thing that most people know by now is that the game is set in medieval Japan. You get to play this game with 2 different characters. One of them is a female shinobi that's stealth oriented and the other one is a male samurai that is more combat oriented. So it's very similar to Assassin's Creed Syndicate where you could choose to play between the male or the female character. It's just that in this game the differences are a little more pronounced. My personal opinion on this playing 2 characters thing is that I don't like it. I didn't like it in Syndicate, I didn't like it on GTA, I'd like to just play the one character. I am also not a big fan of any of the 2 characters. I think that the obvious character of choice for this game should have been Hattori Hanzo because he could have filled both the role of samurai and both the role of shinobi. I really feel that that would have been the perfect protagonist for the game. If you don't know, Hattori Hanzo is the coolest and most famous shinobi in Japanese history. He was both a samurai and a ninja, so he could have filled both of those roles, and I really think that he could have been the perfect choice of protagonist for the game. With that said, I can see Ubisoft milking the feudal Japan setting, so who knows, they might come up with other characters in future games, they might use Hanzo for another game. As far as the size of the game, the map is going to be about the size of AC Origins, which is not as big as Odyssey, but it's not small either. And then as far as the length of the game, how many hours you're going to get out of it, what we've been told is that it's in line with Odyssey and Valhalla. I personally hated Valhalla and I did not play the entire game, so I don't know how long it is, but I did really enjoy Odyssey and that was a very long game. If this game really is as long as Odyssey, I will be very happy because that game was very long and you got a lot of content for your money. A lot of people did not like the length of that game. They were complaining that Odyssey was way too long of a game, which encouraged the company to go ahead and make Mirage, which was a great game, but I felt like it was way too short. And I will personally never understand the argument that, oh, what a tragedy, the game is way too long for my money. There's too much game for what I paid. Oh, I wish there was less game in this game. I personally loved Odyssey. I felt like you got a lot of content for your money, and I really hope that this is no different because it is an expensive asking price, and I do hope that you can get your money's worth out of it. So one of the unique features that this game is going to have is dynamic weathers. So there are 2 elements to this, one of them being the most obvious. That means that there will be seasons where it's going to be snowing, there's going to be times where it's raining, there's going to be times where it's spring and it's sunny. Now, other than just the visual aspect that this will provide, there is another feature included in this that is quite interesting that they've announced. So the seasons and the weather will impact how you play the game and how NPCs react to different things that you do. Things like during summer, the grass is tall, and in this game you can actually go prone and hide in the grass. The lakes are not frozen, so you can actually hide underwater and things like that. So you can interact with your environment in certain ways. Whereas during the winter, because it's so cold, a lot of this vegetation is not there, it's dead, so you can't hide in the grass anymore. You can't hide in lakes because they're going to be frozen. The guards are not as likely to pursue you as far of a distance because they want to be near the fire where it's warm. All of that sounds very interesting to me, even from just an aesthetic perspective, even if it's just to add flavor, that would already be cool as is. But the fact that the NPCs will react to these different environments, I find that very cool. As far as an idea, I think that the idea behind that it's very cool, but when it comes to practically speaking, we'll just have to see how impactful it really is. So another thing that a lot of people were asking questions about, and it was kind of an area of concern, was the combat. The traditional Assassin's Creed franchise combat has become very easy and it's pretty dull and dated for quite some time now. So in the more recent games, they tried to address the lack of difficulty in this combat by adding some RPG mechanics. So these changes did in fact make the combat a little more difficult, but I feel like it was at the expense of fluidity. I personally did not like these changes and this style of combat. Although I do appreciate the fact that they're trying to make changes and address something that is very obvious, because if you play older titles of the game, it's just way too easy, right? But at the same time, the recent changes they've made to the combat, making it very RPG heavy, I did not like that change either. So from what I've been able to observe and what you can see here on the screen, it looks like they're trying to find a middle ground between both of them. It's not as easy and dumbed down how the older titles used to be, but it's also not as spongy and weird and awkward as the new games seem to be as well. There's a whole armor system going on now for some of these enemies where they are going to be a little bit tougher but not extremely spongy. Certain weapons that you can use are going to be more or less effective at fighting enemies that have that heavy armor and whatnot. As you can see here on the video, as you fight the opponent, certain pieces of their armor break off, exposing some parts of their body where you can land more lethal strikes and things like that. Like I had mentioned, it looks like they're trying to find a blend between the original game's combat that was way too fast and way too easy, while also not going down the other extreme we've seen from more recent games where the enemies are way too spongy. So different from other AC games before, where the story unfolds in a very linear way, there's a very rigid and strict way that the story and the quests and the objectives will unfold. This game will work differently. The way that the developers described it is they want to make the game less handholdy. The vast majority of the main missions of this game are going to be centered around hunting down and assassinating certain targets. And you're not going to be given these targets' locations right off the bat. You have this spy network, you're going to have to do investigating, and you're kind of going to have to uncover where these targets are at. So like I said, you're not really following an exact story that unfolds in a very linear fashion. You're kind of making it as you go, which I think is a really cool concept, and from what they were explaining as well, you could even end up by accident bumping on one of these targets. I will also say this is probably really dumb and not a reason you should consider buying a game for, but the entire map is littered with Shiba Inu dogs that you can actually pet. And as a proud owner of 3 Shiba Inus myself, I appreciated this feature. It's certainly not the entire reason I would consider buying this game, but you know what? It's kind of cute, and they do get some brownie points with me because of that. So now that we've covered all that and I've shared all this information with you, I'm going to let you know how I'm feeling about this game. Contrary to popular internet opinion, I am very excited about this game. I think it looks great. As I had said at the beginning of the video, I'm not going to be discussing or covering any of the controversies surrounding this game because there is a lot of hate and disdain for this game at the moment because of some of the things surrounding the game that don't have to do so much with the gameplay itself. When it comes specifically just to what the game looks like, how it's shaping up, and the gameplay itself, I'm excited for it. It looks really good. You know, the thing with Ubisoft is the truth is you never know with them. A lot of times they put out just straight up garbage, right? And other times they put out things that are pretty good that I have enjoyed. So with them, you really never know, right? I'm going to reserve my final judgment for once the game actually comes out and we can actually look at the game. I am personally liking what I'm seeing so far. From what the developers have explained, the footage that they've put out, all that looks frankly really good. It's one of those things where if you go on the internet right now, if you browse this game, there is so much hate surrounding it. Everybody is praying and hoping that this game will fail. And I honestly just don't share on those opinions. Like, I don't hope for things to be bad. I don't take joy when franchises do something bad or destroy a game that I like. You know, in my life, it's not like I actively seek out to be a contrarian, right? It's not like I am purposely looking for things that there's a general consensus on or that people are hating on, and I actively seek to disagree with them just for the sake of being different or disagreeing. But one thing that I don't do is allow other people to decide for me if something is good or not. Like, I'm an individual, I look at things and I come to my own conclusions. I don't care that the general opinion of the internet is that this game is going to be bad. I don't care if the consensus is that people want this game to fail. I don't. And if you're understandably on the fence about this game because of the company that's making it, that's totally fine. Just go the subscription route. You're only going to be paying $18 for a AAA game, and you're going to have access to all that exclusive paywalled content right off the bat for an entire month. And within that month that you have, you can decide if this is a game that you fell in love with and you want to buy it, or if you just want to play through it and never touch it again. Either way, it's fine. Isn't it really cool to have that option? Like, wouldn't it be cool if most AAA games had the option to do that? Gosh, I would be such a happy camper if I could have just paid $18 to play Dragon's Dogma for a month and been done with it. Instead, I paid $70 for the game and I'm stuck with it now. That's all that I have to say about the game. If you like this video, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like these, please don't forget to subscribe. If you stayed with me here till the very end, I thank you for your time, and I hope you have a great week.